afternoon and welcome to the Forbes Center for the Performing Arts. Please take a moment to locate your nearest emergency exit, and at this time, please stop texting and turn off your cell phone. As mandated by federal copyright law, any form of unauthorized recording or photography is strictly prohibited. There will be no intermission. Thank you and enjoy the presentation.
Welcome, and my name is Zike, and the topic of today's lecture recital is discussion of the performing method of the third movement Rondo Allegro in Beethoven's Violin Concerto, Opus 61. Beethoven's Violin Concerto in D major is a masterpiece of the world of the violin. Inherits the religious musical structure of the European classical music and incorporates musical elements from the Romantic period. It is a classical music work that blends influences from the classical and Romantic music periods. This whole concerto is divided into 3 movements, and today's lecture recital will focus on the third movement, Rondo Allegro. This movement has a light melody, elegant style, and grand scale of music form, expressing Beethoven's tenderness and romance in his heart, which is in sharp contrast to his previous majestic music style works. Today I will focus on 4 core elements of the performance. The first one is interaction between violin and symphony orchestra. The second one is timbre and emotional expression. And the third one is phrase shaping. And the last one is pronunciation and the bowing. So these elements are essential to understand Beethoven's expressive intention and convey the lively and lyrical character of the rondo. During my speech, I will show you some examples of music. Beethoven's technique marks are not only playing instructions, but also revealing his emotion intention, rhythm, concept, and music expression. I hope today's lecture recital can let us experience the vitality of his work again, and understand how the performer should make Beethoven's music live through technique and expression. Beethoven's Violin Concerto in D major, Opus 61, was written in 1806. This concerto was born in Beethoven's midterm creative period. These creative characteristics of this period are to gradually break throughout these formal norms of classical and purse greater structure and deeper emotional expression. This work was commissioned by Franz Clement, the concertmaster of the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra, and premiered in Vienna on December 23, 1806. According to the literature records from that time, Beethoven finished the score in a hurry just before the concert. And Clement even had to perform some spots in sight reading, which shows the improvisation and trust of their cooperation. This concerto marks the transition from technical concerto to the symphonical concerto in the history of the music. Beethoven broke through the traditional binary relationship solo and accompaniment of the concerto and established an equal music dialogue between the orchestra and the solo violins. This structure balance of spiritual loftiness makes the work not only an important milestone in the art of violin performance, but also reflects the composer's philosophical thinking on the relationship between music and humanity, relationality and the emotion. Before entering the performance analysis, let's briefly understand the overall structure of the third movement. This movement uses the composite from rondo sonata form. While the main melody of the movement continues to return, it also incorporates the logic of contrast, development, and reproduction in the sonata form. The overall structure can be summarized as A, B, A, C, A, B, A. And the first section is section A, which is the theme of the roundabout. This theme is the core of the whole movement. At the beginning, it is played by the violin in a very clear rhythm with dotted notes. The rhythm is light and flexible with a lively and confident dance feeling. This theme continues to return, but each time it appears in a slightly different tone. Sometimes it's lighter, sometimes it's firmer, and reflecting Beethoven's subtle grasp of the rhythm and personality changes. This part requires the performer to highlight the sense of rhythm with clear pronunciation and precise bowing to make the music jump. So I'll play the beginning. I'll play in the beginning for you guys. Then the calm section is the section B, the lyrical section. The melody here is more flowing and singing, which is in sharp contrast to the liveliness of the section A. During this part, the solo violin seems to enter a singing state. The bow should be more consistent and the timbre should be warmer. Beethoven shows his very humanist side here. After the warm dance, the music was briefly quiet and introspective, bringing the balance of breath and emotion. The coming part for the third part is section C, the developmental insertion. The music here becomes more dramatic. Beethoven makes a tonal shift and rhythm change in this period, which significantly enhances the tension of the music. The relationship between the soloist and the symphony orchestra is also more complex. The violin is no longer just a protagonist, but promotes music in dialogue and conflict. When performing this part, the performer should pay attention to the sense of structure and layering. Avoid the simple display for skills and reflect the direction and logic of music. Finally, the theme of the section returns many times and then ends. In the ending part, Beethoven made the music move towards a solemn and brilliant end while maintaining a clear rhythm through the changes of the speed, volume, and orchestration. This is also Beethoven's unique style. Even in the lightness movement, we can always hear the power of nobility and relationality. The structure of the third movement is not only the clarity and kindness of Rondo, but also the logic and development of the sonata. This kind of formal arrangement makes the movement full of variety and depth in the emotion. The repetition of the theme is not a mechanical loop, but a new energy and mood transformation in each return. Through this form, Beethoven integrated relationality and emotion, structure and expression, and showed his unique philosophy of music. I'll play the ending for you. I believe we can clearly hear that the note relationship between this section and the beginning rhythm and interval is exactly the same, but the emotional playing method is completely different. In the third movement, Rondo Allegro, Beethoven shows a bright and resolution spiritual world through the cheerful theme of generation. For the performer, how to find a balance between the structure and emotion is a double challenge of the technical and understanding. Next, I will discuss the four aspects for you. So first of all, we need to understand the relationship between violin and orchestra established by Beethoven in this concerto. The interaction between the violin and orchestra is a balanced art form structure to performance, different from the opposition mode of solo and accompanist in the early concerto. Beethoven makes them equal interlocutors here. This symphonic structure not only affects the musical form of the work, but also directly determines the way the performer deals with timbre, rhythm, and dynamics. Beethoven asked the orchestra to present the theme first, and the violin entered later, which means that the soloist did not appear as a protagonist, but grew naturally from the breath of the orchestra. Therefore, when entering the theme, the performer needs to maintain a sense of dialogue in terms of volume and emotion, and should not overwhelm the orchestra, but breathe together with the orchestra. For example, at the beginning of the third movement here, this melody of the violin and symphonic orchestra imitated and echo each other. At this time, the soloist needs to carefully listen the rhythm and energy of the orchestra and make the violin voice clear, independent, and integrate into the overall texture through fine-tuning of both speed and pressure. Because the solo is too prominent, the concerto appears fragmentary when the solo can be slightly behind in timbre and maintain a transparent and warm sound texture. This balance will make the music more symphonic, which is the spirit of Beethoven's concerto. In this development section, the dialogue between the violin and orchestra is more frequent. At this time, the performance needs to handle the flow of music through the ability to listen and respond. When the orchestra enters the strong tone zone, the violin can use the pronunciation position close to root of the bow to enhance the penetration. In the weak tone area, performer can move to the bow tip from a lighter and softer tone to keep balance with the dynamic breathing of the orchestra. As the musicologist Lockwood pointed out, the soloist art in Beethoven lies not in domination, but in dialogue. Beethoven's violin concerto requires the player to integrate rather than dominate. This means that in this performance, the soloist should not only show the skills, but also have the consciousness of the listening. Let the voice resonate with the crowd in the orchestra. So I'll play a T paragraph and the frog paragraph for you. I just mentioned that the performer needs to have a keen listening ability to the better interaction with the orchestra, and the timbre of each part needs to be handled differently. Now I will continue to introduce the timbre and emotional expression. Timbre is a technique tool for performance to express emotions and personality. Isaac Parman puts great emphasis on the control of timbre in classic violin performance. In this third movement, Beethoven shows a variety of emotions from playfulness, lyricism to nobility through the different timbre changes. Players can create rich timbre levels by adjusting bow angle, bow speed, bow pressure, and using trill and vibrato. For example, in section A, the bright forward-leaning timbre conveys a happy mood. In section C, the deep and resonant tune adds drama and emotional depth. Schoenberg pointed out that the timbre is not only the result of technique, but also the core element of emotional expression. It is the most personalized language of performance. Therefore, I have to mention Beethoven's life experience when he wrote this piece. He was in the middle period creative of his life. At that time, his hearing decline brought pain, but his creative inspiration was unprecedented. What he pursued during this period was rationality, balance, and spiritual power in the music. It was no longer the early passion to fight against fate, but a deeper peace and belief. Therefore, the Violin Concerto in D major presents a bright and restrained emotion. It doesn't show off the skills and exaggeration, but in a peaceful melody and relation structure, showing Beethoven's belief in thinking harmonic in pain and pursuing love in loneliness. Next, I will play a comparative section of section A and section C for you. In the process, please pay attention to listen the bright and forward-leaning timbre in section A, which conveys joy like a smile in the sun, and the deeper and resonant timbre in section C, which adds drama and emotional thickness like inner thinking. In the performance just now, technically I use the violin technique to change the bow angle, bow speed, and bow pressure. Also change the speed of vibrato to change the timbre, which is also the important influencing factor of violin timbre in acoustics and precipitation emphasized. In addition to the above factors, I don't know if anyone have noticed that I use a slightly elastic détaché in both themes, which can make the rhythm more dance-like. As Schoenberg said, timbre is not only the result of the sound, but also extension of the emotion. We can feel that timbre and emotional expression are interrelated, and technical change that change the character of the music segment. By changing the timbre, the performer can convey subtle emotion and differences and enhance the audience feeling of Beethoven's music narrative. Next, let's pay attention to the third part, the phrase shaping. The shaping of music sentences is the core means for performance to express the structure and emotions of the music. It is worth to note that although the third movement is marked as Allegro, Beethoven's sense of speed is not simply fast, but a flowing speed with weight and direction. Beethoven created a natural sense of tension and release through the construction of progressive phrases. Therefore, when we play, we should pay attention to the ups and downs of the musical phrases, around the climax and breathing points reasonably, to avoid mechanical note-by-note playing. For example, in the lyric theme of section B, the performer should pay attention to breathing at the end of the sentence and the accented notes at the beginning of the sentence to highlight the structure, sense, and emotional expression of the music sentence. For the melodic part with long bow lines, stable bow speed and even pressure should be maintained during performance to make the sound smooth and flowing. Kendall emphasized that understand harmony, that melodic structure helps to shape the music phrases and guide the unfolding and release of tension. Sentences shape and contrast music lines, creating tension, release, and emotional direction. I will take a little spot in section B as an example to show you the shaping of music phrases, and I hope you can pay attention to the following 2 points while listening. The first one is pay attention to the climax and breathing points when I play the B section lyrical phrase. And the second one is pay attention to the development of motivation during performance, subtle strengthening and weakening of the music lines, using stable bow speed and slight rubato to enhance expressiveness without disrupting the overall rhythm. In addition to creating clear and precipitate phrases in the melody, Beethoven was also very skilled at using an important compositional technique, sequence, in his Rondo Allegro. Sequence means in music a short motif or rhythm pattern is repeated and gradually increase or decrease in pitch, forming a natural sense of progression. This technique not only enhances the coherence of the music, but also creates a constantly accumulating sense of energy in the auditory sense. In these third moments, we can clearly hear this progressive effect in measure 79 to measure 88. Although the melody in this section is mainly composed of continuous 16th notes, which may seem simple, but Beethoven makes each measure imitate the pattern of the previous bar, while gradually extending the melody downwards. This downward motinum is not a flattening or a fading of emotion, but rather creates an internal tension in the flow of music. It seems to be constantly accumulating energy, allowing the audience to invisibly feel that the emotions are accumulating and brewing, laying the foundation for the subsequent theme reproduction and the arrival of the climax. In other words, Beethoven did not rely solely on the variation of the melody to create drama, but rather pushed emotional of the audience to a higher level subconsciously through the continuous progression in the motivation. When the downward trend ends as the melody rises again, the release of this emotion becomes particularly natural and powerful. At this point, the performer can use the spiccato near the middle of the bow to maintain clarity and lightness. Now, I will play the sequence part for everyone. Please pay attention to how Beethoven used the progressive techniques and the spiccatos to maintain tension and clarity between repetition and progression in the melody while listening. Experiencing the power of growing from the inside out in music. This is also an important characteristic of music, of Beethoven's highly dramatic music. From this, it can be seen that effect phrasing shaping organically integrates pronunciation, intensity, and expressive time, making music both structurally clear and emotionally profound. For Beethoven, music phrases are not only the organizing units of melodies, but also the core channels through which he expresses his thoughts and emotions. In this third movement of the Violin Concerto in D major, Beethoven created a natural sense of breathing between tension and extension through the precise design of music phrases. The ups and downs, breathing points, and mean chord arrangement of each musical phrase reflect his control over emotional tension and sensitivity to structural logic. The shaping of this music phrase is not a simple technical aspect, but an art of balancing emotions and rationality. When the performers understand the direction of music phrases, they need to appreciate the tone, just like the syntax of language. There are emotional differences between interrogative, declarative, and exclamatory sentence in the music phrases. Therefore, in Beethoven's music, the handling of the phrases determines whether the audience can feel the breath of the melody and the flow ideas. The shaping of phrases is the art making music speak. Next, let's move on to the final section, pronunciation and the bowing. In this movement, Beethoven imbues the melody with a unique sense of rhythm and expressiveness through precise pronunciation and bowing requirements. For example, in the dotted notes of section C, the performer needs to use clear and precise bowing to highlight the jumping and vitality of the melody. And in the lyric part of section B, an even bow can showcase the fluidity and warmth of the melody. These changes in bow techniques are not only a reflection of technique, but also a key factor in emotional expression. As Yuan pointed out, Beethoven's bowing marks are often not just technique instructions, but also guide for emotional expression. The pronunciation of the third movement is crucial for rhythm, melody clarity, and music character. In violin performance, key consideration of the bow includes, first, distribution of bows. Long bows can create a sense of warmth, while short bows highlight the rhythm. Bow pressure, adjusting pressure can emphasize musical phrases or highlight the important chords. And the third one is bow speed. A fast bow increases brightness and lightness, while a short bow enhances resonance. Pronouncing type bow techniques such as slur, staccato, and accent significantly affect the personality of music sentence. In the upcoming performance, I will present to you a piece of dotted rhythm music with accompanying notes and a piece of slur lyrical music, hoping that you can combine the 4 key points mentioned above while listening. During this listening process, imagine this paragraph as a breathing line. The beginning of the sentence gently begins, gradually reached and climax, and then naturally lands. As Stilwell emphasized, bow control was crucial in classical violin performance. Through precise pronunciation, performance can not only present the clarity of the melody, but also convey the vitality of rhythm and the sense of the music. During performance, special attention should be paid to the breath at the end of the sentence, which is the key to the natural flow of the music lines. If the breathing points are ignored, the melody may become stiff and sound like mechanically sticking notes, lacking variety. Therefore, bowing is not just a technical issue, it is more like an emotional grammar of music. It determines the way music breath affects the flow and tension of phrases and directly shapes the character and emotional expression of the work. In Beethoven's third movement, he cleverly combines the rhythm, lyricism, and emotional pause of the melody through precise instructions on the bow. When understanding these bowing marks, performers need to simultaneously consider changes in the bow position, bow speed, and bow pressure, so that each phrase is both technically precise and impressive. Through this in-depth exploration of the interaction between violin and symphony orchestra, timbre and emotional expression, phrase shaping and pronunciation and bowing in the third movement, we can appreciate the richness and the depth of Beethoven's composition and expression. Effect performance of Beethoven's work requires a high level of attention to technique precision, music structure, and subtle emotional differences. For example, this piece is a balanced art that requires precise control of the techniques while maintaining the natural breathing of the music. We need to analyze initially and sing sincerely. I hope that these insights from performance practice can inspire performers and listeners to listen to the concerto with higher awareness and sensitivity, experiencing the subtle interweaving of rhythm, melody, and timbre in work, and showcasing its charms as a classical violin piece. Thank you.
Thank you.